Are you personally tired of just visualizing all the time and working to get your relationship to show up, whether it's an SP or get that ideal person that you haven't met yet? Whatever it happens to be, here's one of the secrets to going beyond visualizing and creating that feeling and holding on to the feeling of the wish fulfilled. Now, this is for all my peoples who are struggling, who may be able to visualize, but for some reason you may be struggling in like holding on to that feeling long term. And this is something that I taught to one of my clients who I'm actually about to hop on to a call with in like what the next 20, well, 16, 30, like 46 minutes from now. Me and her hopping on a call. And I was so excited when she sent me a Marco Polo message this week, and she was so freaking excited. She was giddy, laughing, telling me how that this dude that she had found, she's like, he's absolutely perfect. He's amazing. And I am so down bad. I am so down bad right now. And I'm not surprised that the guy showed up because we did do a lot of work one to one to get her to this point. And now, after she finally was able to hold the feeling, the relationship that she wanted showed up. Hey, welcome. What's up? Glad to have you here. Um, so, since we were able to end up creating that, she was able to love and have this absolutely wonderful relationship that she is super excited about. She's gone on multiple dates with this dude, and things are going very, very well. She's like, oh my God, he's like so perfect, so amazing. And the thing I taught her actually wasn't a visualization exercise. It was something that was a little bit beyond visualization. And I think it's a useful technique for people who may struggle with just doing the laying down and visualizing, which, mind you, most of the time is often because people don't sleep. So if like you have trouble visualizing, a lot of the time it's because you probably aren't getting enough sleep. So if you're struggling with visualizing, one of the first things to look at is like, am I sleeping enough? Am I just struggling my way through it? And if that's the case, then get your rest, because you need sleep to be able to get this stuff to work properly. But mind you, set aside visualization for a little bit because getting the visuals is great, but it's not exactly what you need all the time. Welcome everybody. If you want to experience having the loving, wonderful relationship, one of the things that you can use, and what I taught Michelle, my client, the one I'm going to talk to a little bit later, the thing I taught her that helped her go from struggling, wondering where this guy was going to come from, to literally sending me videos where she's like, oh my gosh, he's here, he's amazing, he's perfect, he's all the things that I wanted. I'm like so down bad. The thing that we did was use her language differently. We didn't script. What I had her do was sit in the same space that she's in and start practicing saying the phrases that she would say. What's up? Yes, you can. You can get into heaven because your life can be heaven. Your life can be absolutely heavenly, lady. Welcome. Um, so here's what I had her do. I had her sit there and decide that she was already in the relationship. And once I had her assume that identity as an actor and as somebody who's taught acting and other like arts like music and stuff, because I played 7 different instruments. Um, One of the things I had her do was essentially like an acting exercise. So I had her sit there and I had her practice one phrase. It was 2 words, and I had her practice it again and again in a bunch of different contexts. And that phrase was my boyfriend. So I had her close her eyes and repeat the phrase, and I gave her different scenarios and different context in which she would say that phrase. Because people, when you're in the state of being in a relationship, it's not just one emotion or one experience. There's so many more layers that can be placed in a phrase. And like an actor, when they get their lines on the script, depending on the context or the emotion or the choices that the actor makes, the same lines in the same scene could have many different meanings depending on how a person says it. So for her, I had her close her eyes and repeat the phrase, my boyfriend. Now, if you're a guy, then you would say my girlfriend. But I gave her a couple of different contexts to say the phrase. And one of them was, well, I had to say it. Just start saying the phrase, my boyfriend, my boyfriend, my boyfriend, just to get it on her lips and to get used to saying it. My boyfriend, my boyfriend, my boyfriend. Then I asked her, how would you say it now that you're talking to your friend and she just told you about something wonderful that her boyfriend did, and you need to let her know how much more amazing your boyfriend is? So it's not just my boyfriend, it's, well, my boyfriend. um, then I had, what were some of the other contexts? Some of the other contexts were a girl who's the waitress ask you who the cute guy was that was sitting with you at the table when you went to go when you're at a restaurant, and he went over to the bathroom, and the waitress is coming back over and asking you like, oh, who's the cute guy that you're with, and you look over to her and say, my boyfriend. And I had her practicing all of these different scenarios, saying the same phrase but with a different energy, so that she would become used to the feeling associated with her boyfriend. And just saying her boyfriend, my boyfriend, my boyfriend, my boyfriend, my boyfriend, my boyfriend, saying the phrases and using in her mind different scenes where she would say it. Now, she didn't necessarily had to visualize it, but the energy behind and how she said it was different each of the times. Where the where she's uh, where she's absolutely appalled that somebody thought that he was just her friend. And she was like, friend? No, my boyfriend. My boyfriend. Um, no, eating plastic is not healthy, dude. Although most people eat a lot of microplastics, don't go around eating plastic. Please, please don't. Um, y- yeah. Oh man. So that was one of the things that we practiced again and again, was just her saying the phrase and getting used to saying it. And as her body became more comfortable in the act of saying it, she was staying more in the state of being a girlfriend. Because you're only going to say a phrase like that if you're in a relationship. You're only going to feel the energy of that as you practice it. And she just continued the process, saying it again and again, feeling it. And she realized that when she wasn't in a relationship, that wasn't a phrase that she said. She didn't say it, whether it was conviction or with conviction or not. She just wasn't saying that phrase. It wasn't being spoken. So by practicing it, she became more comfortable in the act of saying it, and it was much easier for her to stay in the emotional state that produced her having the relationship. So if you want to make it easier for you to get into the state and you may have difficulty with visualizing, one of the things that you can do is practice saying specific phrases and imagine them in different contexts of how you would say it. And instead of just imagining, just talk, act it out, physically act it out. There's something that's different about your energy when you go through the process of acting out a scene. Um, and this helps out. This actually helps people out a lot, especially if you're somebody who struggles with visualizing, because you can struggle with visualizing, but you can act out a scene like an actor. You can act out a scene like freaking uh, Samuel L. Jackson in Pulp Fiction, where he's talking to the guy. He's like, "What does Marcellus Wallace look like?" You don't need to visualize it to play the character and to do that thing and to do the impression. So do it like you're doing an impression of you as a boyfriend or a girlfriend, or a husband or wife. So that was one thing that worked really well for her. Another thing that worked really well that goes beyond visualizing, and it's often something that's overlooked, and once she started applying this, it became much easier for her to maintain the state of her being in a relationship, was she paid attention to the people that she was around. So it's one thing to speak things out to yourself, where you're just talking it, you're going through it. It's another thing to have an experience. Oh, shoot, it's Lent. Well, enjoy your fish fillet. Oh, yeah, that's right. Everybody's been, it was Ash Wednesday. I forgot. I was wondering. I completely forgot. I keep seeing the crosses that I forgot it was Ash Wednesday. Saw it online. Didn't see them in person. If I saw it in person, I would have been like, oh, yeah, Ash Wednesday. I just saw them and it didn't register in my head that we haven't Lent. What you order? Fish fillet? Okay. Oh, so it's one thing to speak things out. It's another thing to pay attention to the people that you spend time around. One thing that I've noticed, because I've had like a whole bunch of different clients that I've had conversations with, helping them in the process of manifesting the relationships that they want, whether that's manifesting a specific person back, working on manifesting an ex back, or bringing in the ideal relationship that they want. And what I've noticed for the people who are usually struggling, the problem actually isn't with visualizing. The problem is usually who they spend time with. One of the things that we don't really notice is like how our closest friends and peers and the people we spend time around influence our language. They influence our language massively, and I mean massively. So if you want to practice being a certain type of person, spending time around other people who already have what you want will naturally change your language, because you will be hearing them using those phrases and those terms and those words and those concepts and talking about those experiences that only they could have as people in those experiences. So for the clients that I've noticed that a struggle usually, especially with the girlies, their problem is usually they spend a lot of time around their single friends, and let me tell you, them single friends will keep you single, because the way that their minds work and how they speak will be speaking the energy of being single. So you can do your visualizations and all that stuff. But if you're visualizing and you're vibrating that you're in a relationship, and then you go out for several hours with your girlfriend and you guys are at the club, and well, not your girlfriend, but your girlfriends, and they're acting single and hoeing it up, that energy changes you, because the conversations that you guys are going to have the next day and during the week and during that experience is not the same vibration of being in a relationship. And even on like a thought level, for those women, they just don't think like that. They don't think in terms of relationships. Their priorities are completely different, because they're just different types of people. And that's like one of the, I guess, the stealth killers for relationship manifestations, which is, I mean, the fish fillet is pretty good. That's one of the big relationship killers. Not fish fillets. Fish fillets are not a relationship killer unless you try kissing somebody who didn't need a fish fillet after. um, One of the relationship killers is just having friends that do not live the same lifestyle that you want. And one of the things that happened with Michelle as we went through the process, and it didn't take that long. It took a couple of weeks for us to get really into it, and for her to start manifesting this lovely, wonderful relationship that she has now. Um, what we realized was she started feeling less connected with her single friends. And one of the things I mentioned to her is like, spend more time around your friends who have what you want, which would be friends that are in relationships. And sure enough, the people who started inviting her out, that she started spending more time with, were women in couples, women who were married, women who were in relationships, who were living that life. And what she noticed after we started doing the my boyfriend process was that that's how her friends were talking. They were talking to her about her boyfriend, their boyfriends. Oh, what's up, Daniel? Uh, They were talking about her boyfriend. They were talking about their boyfriend. Well, not their boyfriends, but her friends were talking about their boyfriends, their relationships, the dates that they were going on, the time that they spent together, how they enjoyed. It is important because, well, actually, yes, it is important because this also applies to things outside of relationships. So it's the groups that you hang around and the friendship groups that you hang around and the people that you spend the most time with. Whatever your goal is in terms of manifesting, one of the low key biggest hacks that is outside of visualizing is surrounding yourself with people who already have the thing that you want. So if it's relationships, if you want to be a boyfriend or girlfriend, find and spend time with friends that have those relationships, that have the kind of relationship that you want. If you want to get married, spend time around your married friends. If you want to make more money, especially if you're talking about making money online, with online businesses and low ticket products or digital products or coaching, spend time around people who are already doing that, who are already selling that. Because naturally, conversation when around those people will gravitate towards those same things. Um, One thing that I always make sure to do is that I have friends who make more money than me, and that is on purpose. I talk to them, and the act of having conversation, literally just the act of just exchanging information back and forth and catching up, completely changes your outlook on life. I was talking to a friend that I haven't spoke to in I want to say probably like over a year. Haven't spoken to her in over a year. But in the process of speaking to her, because we have different skill sets and she's somebody who makes a lot of money, naturally our conversations are going to what accomplishments have you had? What amazing things have you done? And what are you working on right now that you can get help with? And she was talking about how she had, because the last time I talked to her, she was getting ready to purchase a house. She purchased a house in New York City. The house that she had in Atlanta, she's now currently renting out. So her old roommate is paying the mortgage. So she's a landlord. So we're talking about that. We're talking about stuff related to the new business that she's working on launching. Um, and the fact that I do YouTube is an opportunity for me to tell her, like, oh, hey, I have experience in YouTube. If you want to have a conversation, I can help you with your strategy around YouTube because I know that you're really good in this area. I just so happen to be stronger in this other area over here. So naturally, we have complementary skills, but we're also talking about our big goals. We're talking about stacking up cash and getting money for a certain period of time, by a certain period of time this year, because of the things that we want are things that are important for us. For me, big thing is we are inviting a new little person into the world, so I need to make way more money because that's a big goal. Because I know once a little person shows up, there's a lot of needs. I know for the first couple of weeks afterwards, I am not cooking a thing. Nobody's cooking anything because nobody's gonna have the energy for that. So meal prepping, Uber Eats, like having a personal chef who can meal prep food ahead of time for us, that's going to be like top notch and super important. When we had our first kid, um, for the first couple of weeks, I said that, like, I remember my doula, my client, Esther. She asked, like, "Oh, what are you guys gonna do for food like the first few weeks, like postpartum and all that stuff?" And I was like, "Oh, I'm literally gonna like order food," and that's what I did for the first few weeks. I was just on freaking. For the first few weeks, I was on Uber Eats, and we were just Uber Eating almost every meal, because just didn't have the energy. Had a brand new baby. Cleaning the house, I was paying a maid to come in. Matter of fact, I signed up for the service again. I was already preparing. Sign up for the service again. Maid is coming tomorrow, to make sure that the house is clean and put together. So when it comes to having that stuff taken care of, there needs to be a certain amount of money to have all those services and to have all of those things. To have some people on the payroll. Matter of fact, I also got people handling the yard and stuff in the new house. Because if you've noticed, we don't have the nice background. Although I'm gonna be recording some videos over there over the weekend, so keep an eye out for the next couple of videos. You will see me at the lovely little location for those videos, so you'll see a couple of those. Um, But naturally, me and her were having conversations about making more money. Her goals, huge goals. They are not tiny people goals. And she's like, yeah, I'm already part way to it. I've had multiple conversations with people where we're talking about tens of thousands of dollars, hundreds of thousands of dollars, millions of dollars. And the more I have those relationships, the more comfortable I am with talking about those amounts. If you want to make more money, your friends should be people who are making more money than you because they will be talking about making more money, and your ears and your tongue will start becoming tuned to the amounts of money that they're talking about. If you want to make $10,000, $20,000, $30,000 a month, you should be talking to people who are making $30,000 to $50,000 a month because they will naturally be talking about the amounts. They'll naturally be talking about how they do it, and they won't be talking about it from theory. They'll be talking about it from experience, and that helps you with raising your level of belief. Because if your goal is to make 20,000 a month and your friend is making 30 to 40,000 a month, the feasibility, they'll look at you and be like, yeah, that's totally possible. Like, what are you doing? Like, just do this, especially if it's something related to what you want to do. So low key, very big hack. If you want if you want to push visualizing to the side and you want to go beyond visualizing, find yourself a friend group of people who have already manifested the lifestyle and the life that you want. In relationships, do they have the kind of relationship that you want? How many people in your friend group have relationships that you want? If you want to get married, how many of your friends are married? If you want to be in a loving, caring relationship, how many of your friends are in a loving, caring relationship? Have a loving and caring boyfriend? If the answer isn't much, or the people that you spend the most time with, the answer is no, well, then that's the reason why you don't have what you want. Because the people that you spend the most time with and the people that you talk to happen to be talking from the level of where they are. And also, don't take advice on relationships from single people because people will only be able to give you advice to get to where they are. So that's why it's always important that the person that you're talking to is somebody who is where you want to be because they will literally, hey Carla, family's doing great. We actually just came back from the ultrasound. We're having a new little one, so this will be baby number 2. So that's part of the reason why I've kind of been gone. Is the process of getting ready for all that stuff. So did the move, and now we're bringing in a new little one, so it's exciting. So can you talk about getting over the fear of wasting time or being hurt? I miss being in a relationship, but seems like a double-edged sword. So this, I can tie this back into the main topic for the video, which is going beyond visualizing and holding the feeling. One of the things that will stop you from holding the feeling is fear, which is negative desire or negative imagination. Because the only thing that you fear, if you think about it, like deconstruct what fear is. Fear is I am creating something in my mind, which is either an image or a conversation where I'm having, where when I bring this to mind, it makes me feel a certain way that I do not like. It doesn't feel good in the body. That's what fear is. It's an uncomfortable feeling that you might feel in the chest. They're usually in the abdomen, somewhere related to the chest or in the gut. You like feel it in the stomach, or it's just like that this uneasy feeling. The reason why you have the uneasy feeling is because what you are imagining in your head, or the conversations that you're mentally having, or the memories that you are bringing up. So if you have the fear of wasting time or being hurt, you will naturally be in the state of not being in a relationship. Because if you're wasting time and being hurt, that's not a good relationship. And naturally you will move to staying in that state, whatever that is. Because if you're fearful of wasting time or being hurt, you're just gonna put yourself into a holding pattern. It's not gonna be fun. It's never fun. Nobody likes it. Thank you, Carla. I appreciate it. It's gonna be a fun new addition. How do you overcome it? The recipe is simple, but not always easy, and it is moving to the opposing or the opposite the opposite feeling, or doing processes to remove any component of that, whether it's the images that are showing up, the things that you're thinking about that are creating the feeling, or working directly with the feeling itself. When we talk about working with the images or the sounds, it's learning and understanding that you have more control over your mind, what you think about, what you say, and what you imagine. And you could use techniques like NLP, neuro linguistic programming, to literally just change the images in your mind. So if an image of something, because the only way that you can feel fear is that you're creating, and you have to create something in your consciousness that creates the feeling. So when you sit down and pay attention and become conscious and aware of what is going on in my body that is creating this feeling, like how do I know I'm feeling fear right now? Like what is the sequence? Do you say something in your head? Does a memory pop up? Do you hear somebody say something and then a memory is triggered or an image is triggered and that's what creates the feeling? What's going on inside? Once you understand the sequence of sound, audio, visual, and feeling, what's going on and what sequence is firing, take a moment and understand that you can change any of these things. You could change the way you feel, you could change what you imagine, and you could change what you say or hear in your mind. When it comes to hearing, the things that you can do to change what you're hearing is affirmations. Affirmations work really well to do that because you're literally changing your speech and what you're saying, and that changes what you imagine, ultimately what you feel. You can also do chanting and sound related stuff. So one thing that helps with getting rid of um, certain feelings is like sound and somatic release. So screams, ah, or mantra helps with processing sound or thoughts or audio into feeling. So there are a couple of different exercises that you can find. So search up like somatic exercises on YouTube. Those help out with releasing that energy from the body. Kinesthetic, you could do physical manipulation of the body. So by physically moving the body itself, you can move the energy that would be associated with fear in the body. So working out physically helps out a lot. Going on runs, doing things that physically move the body and change your physiology will change how you're feeling, to get rid of that feeling of fear. And the more you do it consistently, the more you can regulate your nervous system properly. Um, Breathing exercises work really well. And then I personally like doing guided meditation exercises where I guide people through just working directly with the energy. So we do imaginal acts in the guided meditation to help energy process in the body, to process these emotions. Because usually, if there's fear, it's because you probably have like some trauma from relationships that you have not dealt with, and it's just sitting there. And until you end up doing something about it, where you process it and you let it out of the body and you let it out of the field, when you end up doing that, that's when you're able to bring in the new relationship, because you're no longer holding on to the memories and the energy of wasting time or being hurt. And that's that was one of the things that I did with Michelle, the client who, in her cool new sexy little relationship, we did forgiveness exercises. We did a lot of those. We did it for her parents, her mom and her dad, so we could cleanse all that stuff that was going on. We did some for, she ended up doing inner child exercises. So she was purging and doing hoponopono, clearing out any of those negative emotions, those fears related to her relationship, because that stuff did come up, especially once she started noticing changes in her relationships when we started doing the stuff. Especially when she started noticing changes in her relationships with her parents, like how her parents started becoming more attentive. Her dad was calling her and texting her and saying, like, hey, can I do this for you? Hey, let's spend time together. Let's talk. And now they're planning like family trips. All the things that she wanted and desired with her family started coming up. Same thing with friends and her coworkers. She desired changes there. Those started coming. So once those things started manifesting, what came up was actually fear around relationships and insecurity of, hey, if I manifest something like a relationship, can I actually hold on to it? So once those fears started coming up, we had to like release and let that go and understand that those were, problems and traumatic experiences around worthiness and not feeling worthy of love. And that part of that led to like insecurity. It's like, do I actually deserve to be loved like this? What is There's something wrong with me? Um, and that was really big for her. So once we did a couple of guided meditation exercises, we were able to release and let that stuff go. So if you want to get over the fear, the way of getting over the fear is actually by diving deeper into it and letting it come up and then allowing it to just be released. Understanding that there is no boogeyman, there is only you and your experience. And once you confront that, you can come out the other end and realize, you know what, I do deserve love, and I forgive whoever was involved in what happened. So I don't need to be hurt. I value myself, therefore I will be valued. And then you realize that it is no longer a double-edged sword, but a wonderful, lovely pen or a paintbrush, not a double-edged sword, but a paintbrush that you can use to paint the most beautiful, lovely relationship that you've ever seen and imagined. Something that will be marveled at for the ages. A love affair, an attraction with so much chemistry that people were like, damn, I want a relationship like that. Oh man. I look like the Weeknd with long hair and beard. Does the Weeknd have a beard right now? Does he? I know he usually has like the little beard. Yeah, that's a new one. Thank you. Appreciate it. Oh, okay. All right. Yeah, I haven't gotten Abel, our boy Abel, in a while. I used to get that. When I was shaved up, I also got Bruno Mars when I had myself completely shaved. It has been a very long time since I've been completely shaved, to be honest. Because most of the time, even if I shaved, most of the time I just have like the stubbly beard. But I've just been going full Moses on it for a while. So back to the points for today's video. Number one, if you want to go beyond visualizing and to hold the feeling of being in your ideal relationship, the three things that I went over so far were: number one, taking the time. Yeah, join the beard gang, Daniel. Join the beard gang. You be the bearded guitarist. Um, Serenading the ladies at the open mics, and they'll be swooning over you. Oh, oh, Daniel. And the guys will be like, damn, this Daniel dude getting all the ladies. Can't have him around here getting all the women. Save some for us. um, so the three things that went over for the video so far on how to hold the feeling that goes beyond manifestation, not manifestation, goes beyond visualization. Number one is acting and using your language. So people always talk about the processes where you do, writing, scripting, or visualizing. But another thing that you could do is just act out like you're in the relationship. I've had a couple other people where I've literally had them on calls. I literally had them call out their partner's name or call out to them like they're in the other room. So they practice how it feels to be in the relationship, knowing that the other person is in the other room. And the act of acting it out helped them get into the feeling, because it's like, oh, that's how it feels. Huh. And it might seem silly or feel silly, but for people who struggle with visualizing, it's one of the silly things that you can do to create the feeling. It works really powerfully and really well. So speaking the stuff out loud and acting like the character, or doing things that the character would do. Very good. Very powerful. Acting out, speaking, using the speech. Number two is paying attention to your relationships and getting relationships with people who have what you want, which could be literally relationship. If you have a certain type of relationship that you want, look at your friend circle. Do the people have the relationships that they want, that you want? If the answer is no, you need to be changing your friend circle. You need to be looking elsewhere, because if not, the people that you hang around are literally going to be reinforcing your reality. If your friends are single, you will be reinforcing single. If you're in a happy, loving relationship and most of your friends are single, you will not be in a happy relationship for long. If you want to be wealthy and most of your friends are making $30,000 to $80,000 a month, you will not be struggling for long. You just won't be. Even if they don't end up giving you money or anything like that, just being around the energy and the way that those people think and how they talk, you will naturally raise and elevate the way that you think and what you do. Because peer pressure, don't underestimate the power of peer pressure for manifestation. So make sure that you're peer pressuring yourself by surrounding yourself with people who already have exactly what you want. So that's number 2. Number 3 was cleansing emotions, fear. One of the things that stops people from holding the feeling and holding the emotion is that they're holding on to negative emotions and emotional blocks that they just haven't let go. The fear of like, who asked the question? Asia. So like Asia, if you fear being hurt, if you fear wasting your time, if you fear being with somebody who's going to hurt you, if you fear not being good enough for a relationship or anything like that, if that stuff sits inside of you, you're going to be pushing away the feeling of relationship because you're not going to feel comfortable in that. I've had a lot of people who actually have done visualization really well and brought in their relationships, and then all of a sudden their nervous system is freaking out because they're like, "Oh my gosh, the person is here. This is weird. This is different. I want to go back to how it was." And they'll naturally self sabotage the relationship because they haven't like processed old fears, and they're scared that this person is gonna do something, and because of that fear they're putting out all this fear and like scared energy, and they're like on edge and insecure, and that insecurity and on edgeness affects how they treat their other person, and the person's just like, I don't want to be around this, and they end up leaving. And then it's like, oh my gosh, they did it, I can't believe it. It's like, no, you created it. So if you want to manifest a relationship, one of the things that's super important isn't just bringing in the relationship, but also clearing whatever negative stuff you got. Because if you don't, you're going to fuck up your current relationship with it. 100%. Yes, Daniel. In my fictional, in my fictional scenario, you're getting run out of town by some locals, by some local cowboys, cowfolk. Some wranglers and rustlers. And those are 3 things that go far beyond just visualization. If you're somebody who struggles with visualization, if you handle those core 3 things, you can end up having a relationship just like Michelle. Matter of fact, me and Michelle are about to hop on a call in like 9 minutes. So she's some. I'm gonna see if I can put together a video talking a little bit more about her in depth, because she's currently one of my favorite success stories. She's all the stuff that needed to happen, she did it, and she's just been shocked at all the things that she's able to manifest for herself and other people that she cares about. So I'm super freaking proud of her. I'm super freaking proud of all my clients. But right now, most recently her, because of all the wonderful things that have been coming up for her. She's been doing fantastically. So before we hop off, and I got like 8 more minutes before I hop on the call with her, what questions you guys got? You guys got any questions for last minute Q&A before we wrap up? Ask any questions on stuff related to manifestation, relationships, clearing negative emotions, bringing in your SP, letting go of somebody, if letting go is one of the things that you need to do. Hell, money. You want to talk money? We can talk money, baby. What you want? Leave a question in the comments below. I need to find where my clip is for my DJI. I don't know where I put that. Show me the money talks. Yeah, I'm gonna have to do some more money talks. Money talks, stuff on retention, energy. Saw a really interesting talk on like blood magic. I was not expecting to find that on Instagram. I was like, I'm like, you don't need to do all that. I was like, whoa. Wasn't expecting to see that on my TL today. uh, Yeah, it's been a good day. Super excited. I'm actually excited for you guys and excited for what happens for you guys over the weekend. I absolutely love when I go to the comments and I read comments of people who are like, I use this and it worked. Oh my gosh, I got my relationship. Thank you so much. Those things, even if it's small things, like I'm always super excited when you guys start applying this and see the differences that it makes in your life. Always my most exciting things. Those things make me happy. It makes me really happy. It makes me so happy. If we want to take it and we want to apply it to money, oh, hold up. I do have something that I could wrap up today with. We can apply this to money and to everything else. I actually read this for a client. I was reading a chapter out of Neville Goddard's Your Faith is Your Fortune. It's a really good one. So this is chapter 13, the I'm pressions. Your consciousness or your I am is the unlimited potential upon which impressions are made. I'm pressions, I am, are defined states pressed upon your I am. Your consciousness or your I am can be likened to a sensitive film. In the virgin state, it is potentially unlimited. You can impress or record a message of love or a hymn of hate, a wonderful symphony or discordant jazz. It does not matter what the nature of the impression might be, your I am will, without murmur, willingly receive and sustain all impressions. Your consciousness is the one referred to in Isaiah 53, 3 through 5. And it's essentially about God and Him receiving a lot of stuff, like being bruised in the iniquities and doing it all without opening His mouth, basically saying nothing in response. And that portion was essentially around the fact that your unconditioned consciousness is impersonal. It is no respecter of persons. Without effort or thought, it automatically expresses every impression that is registered upon it. It does not object to any impression that is placed upon it, although it is capable of receiving and expressing all defined states. It remains forever immaculate and unlimited potential, and an unlimited potential. So it never changes. It's always the same. And it never has the ability to object to anything that you impress upon it, which means your I am. Whatever you say that you are will be projected in your life. Whatever you say and feel in your being, whatever moves through your mouth, is spoken in your mind, in your head, and felt in your chest will be, regardless of what it is, because the subconscious mind or the God or the imagination has no ability to object to any of it, and it will not. It will just simply accept and outpicture whatever you place upon it. Your I am is the foundation upon which the defined state or conception of yourself rests, but it is not defined by, nor is it dependent on, such defined states for its being. Your I am neither expands nor contracts, nothing alters or adds to it. Before any defined state was, it is. When all states cease to be, it is. All defined states or conceptions of yourself are but ephemeral expressions of your eternal being. To be impressed is to be I'm pressed. I am pressed. The first person present tense. All expressions are the result of impressions. Only as you claim yourself to be that which you desire to be will you express such desires. Let all desires become impressions of qualities that are, not qualities that will be. So this is one of the things that people do struggle with when it comes to manifesting, is that if you say that you will be something, that is the same as saying that you are not the thing. And in the act of saying that you will be something, you don't create it. It doesn't create a perfect picture on the film of the subconscious mind. The picture needs to be a present state imprint of the impression. I am, your awareness is God, and God is the fullness of all, the eternal now I am. Take no thought of tomorrow. Tomorrow's expressions are determined by today's impressions. Now is the accepted time. The kingdom of heaven is at hand. I am always with you. That's what Jesus said in Matthew 28:20. Your awareness is the Savior that is always with you. But if you deny him, he will deny you also. You deny him by claiming that he will appear, as today millions are claiming that salvation is to come. That is the equivalent of saying we are not saved. You must stop looking for your Savior to appear and begin claiming that you are already saved. And the signs of your claims will follow. Um, and this is essentially the essence of what we were talking about earlier, which is holding the state. If you feel the way that you want to be in your chest without waiting for the rest of the world to do it, when you feel it and you impress your I am, your awareness, your naked awareness in your consciousness with images from your first person view, with speech from that perspective, from the character of who you would be had the wish been fulfilled, and how you feel being a reflection of you being in that state. When you experience that, when you say, I am this thing right now, not that I'm waiting to be in a relationship, I am in my ideal relationship. When you say that, when you feel it with conviction, the subconscious mind has no choice but to express that impression on the world outside of you. And if you feel anxious, more things will make you cause you to become anxious. To be honest, the terrorists really aren't gonna affect you that much. So if you're being affected by the terrorists like that, tap, do some EFT tapping, check out the Callahan technique and all that stuff. But that's essentially it for today. Um, your desire should be determined by need. Man is schooled in the belief that his desires are things against him, which he struggles. Yeah. Claiming I am the thing desired, I let the Savior in. Behold, I stand before and knock. If any man hear my voice and open the door, I will come to him and will sup with him, and he with me. Every desire is the Savior knocking at the door. This knock every man hears. Man opens the door when he claims, I am he. See to it that you let your Savior in. Let the thing desire press itself upon you until you are impressed with the nowness of your Savior. And then you utter a cry of victory, it is finished. John 9:13. So, whatever you desire, it's not that it will happen. It's not that you're waiting for the manifestation, because if you're waiting, that is the impression that you will get, and you will continue waiting. You simply say that it is done. And if you do, then it will be. So have fun.